So we are. It's a special day today, isn't it? It's the first day of the rest of your life. That's 8 o'clock. You put in how long you think you're going to live. Say if you're going to be 80. And it tells you the time, and it tells you how many days you've got left. Ram Nomi. Oh, sorry. Shalagram and Tulsi Jala Dan. During the hot summer season, a pot with a hole in the bottom is hung over the Tulsi plant, and the Shalagram Shila and water is thus continually dripped on them to keep them cool. In the West, this meant practical, as it's quite cold during this season. Jai. Shalagram Shila's ki jai. She Tulsi Maharani ki jai. So reading from Srila Prabhupada's pastimes. As soon as he entered the vestibule and saw the ornate Italian tiles and marble archways, he began to smile. When we read that one. Todd then proceeded to the boat well, an indoor water garage capable of holding several yachts. The boat well opened into a channel, which opened into the but for the preaching. Did they do that yet? No. Not yet. As Prabhupada and his entourage entered one gorgeous room after another, they saw the many curved stone columns, hand-painted floor and wall tiles from Italy and Greece, and ceilings ornamented with gold leaf figures. Rare antique crystal chandeliers adorned many of the rooms. There were living rooms, library rooms, a dining room, a billiard room, a music room, 2 master bedrooms, other bedrooms, all extravaganzas. Each room is worth the entire price. Okay, so this is where Prabhupada is going to hit them. So we are beggars, he began. He was serious, yet he spoke with an air of humor. Ambrish and Yuvendra hid their faces in embarrassment. We have no money. Prabhupada continued boldly. Therefore, we are asking you, please give us this building. The owner glanced incredulously at his real estate agent and then laughed nervously. It's out of the question. He said, I can't do that. The agent was also taken aback and upset. He can't do that, she whispered. I can't give it to you, explained the owner, because I've taken a loss in maintaining this property. So I have to make my money back. This property income. And Prabhupada said, how much do you want? Well, the man replied, I have to get at least $350,000. None of the devotees dared say anything. Prabhupada thought for a moment and then said, we will give you $300,000 in cash. I'll have to think about it, the man replied. The real estate agent got to her feet saying that a transaction like this is usually not done straight to the owner. But Prabhupada ignored her and spoke with the owner about how lovely the mansion was. Prabhupada then got up and took a short walk in the garden with his men. Govardhan asked Prabhupada if he'd like the building, and Prabhupada said yes. Who would like such a building? Ambrish said Govardhan. Oh? Ambrish said he thought the mansion was Maya. Yes, said Prabhupada, but Maya is also Krishna. We can use anything in Krishna's service. Leaving the garden path, Prabhupada asked Ambrish, so, is this possible? Yes, Prabhupada, this is possible. As soon as they returned to the temple, Ambrish and Lekashravanti conferred. Is that his wife? Her inheritance was limited, but she was able to give $125,000. Ambrish had to come up with the balance. The next day, the owner came to see Srila Prabhupada. The man was accompanied by 2 women, and they all appeared a little intoxicated. He had come to say that he accepted the offer. Prabhupada smiled and reaffirmed his intention to buy. After Srila Prabhupada openly showed his blissfulness about the purchase, just see, he said, I didn't have 1 penny, yet I offered him 300,000 cash. And now Krishna has provided the money. As Prabhupada told the estate agent, I am a sannyasi, I have no money. And after collecting $300,000 from his disciples, I still had no money. The refugee left Prabhu having nothing for himself. Everything was for Krishna, to be used in Krishna's service. Srila Prabhupada ki. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 17, entitled Mother Parvati Curses Chitraketa. So, Shukadeva Goswami continued, O King Parikshit, subduer of the enemy, after Chitraketu satisfied Lord Shiva and his wife Parvati, he boarded his airplane and left as they looked on. When Lord Shiva and Parvati saw that Chitraketu, although informed of the curse, was unafraid, they smiled, being fully astonished by his behavior. Text 26. Thereafter, in the presence of the great sage Narad, the demons, the inhabitants of Siddhaloka, and his personal associates, Lord Shiva, who is most powerful, spoke to his wife Parvati while they all listened. Okay, this is the purport. Is it? No, there's one particular purport. Okay, let's see this one. Okay, so text 27, responsively. Shri Rudra Uvaja Dristavati Asi Shushoni Dristavati Asi Shushoni Hare Adbhuta Kamana Hare Adbhuta Kamana Mahatmyam Bricha Brichanam Mahatmyam Bricha Brichana Yeshprihanam Mahatmanam Nishprihanam Mahatmanam Shri Rudravacha Drisvadyasti Sushoni Mahatmyam Bricha Brichana Nishprinam Mahatmana Shri Rudravacha Dristavajyasi Sushoni Hare Adbhuta Kamana Mahamyam Bricha Brichana Nisprihanam Mahatmanam Shri Rudravacha Dristavajyati Bhutani Lady. Shri Rudravacha Dristavajyasi Shushoni Hare Adbhuta Kamana Mahatmyam Bricha Brichana Nihipishana Mahatmana Shri Rudravacha. Lord Shiva said, Dristavati Asi, have you seen Shushoni, oh beautiful Parvati, Hare, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Adbhuta Kamana, whose acts are wonderful. Mahatmyam, the greatness. Richipachanam, of the servants of the servants. Nisprahanam, of the ambitions of satisfaction. Mahatmanam, great souls. Translation: Lord Shiva said, my dear beautiful Parvati, have you seen the greatness of the Vaishnavas? By being servants of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Hari, they are great souls, and they're not interested in any kind of material happiness. Responsible, please. Lord Shiva said, my dear beautiful Parvati, have you seen the greatness of the Vaishnavas? Being servants of the servants of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Hari, they are great souls, and are not interested in any kind of material happiness. Prabhupada Ki Jai. Lord Shiva, the husband of Parvati, told his wife, my dear Parvati, you are very beautiful in your bodily features. Certainly you are glorious, but I do not think that you can compete with the beauty and glory of devotees who have become servants of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Of course, Lord Shiva smiled when he joked with his wife in that way, for others cannot speak like that. The Supreme Lord Shiva continued, is always exalted in his activities, and he gives another example of wonderful influence upon King Chitraketu, his devotee. Just say, although you cursed the king, he was not at all afraid or sorry. Rather, he offered his respect to you, called you mother, and accepted your course, thinking himself faulty. He did not say anything in retaliation. This is the excellence of a devotee. By mildly tolerating your curse, he has certainly excelled the glory of your beauty and your power to curse him. I can impartially judge that this devotee Chitraketu has defeated you and your excellence simply by becoming a pure devotee of the Lord. As stated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, to Lord of peace now, just like a tree, and devotee can tolerate all kinds of curses and reversals in life. This is the excellence of a devotee. Indirectly, Lord Shiva forbade Parvati to commit the mistake of cursing a devotee like Chitraketu. He indicated that although she was powerful, the king, without showing any power, had excelled their power by his tolerance. Om Akyana Timiranda Shaganandjana Shalakaya Chakshunanmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhastam Savitam Yena Bhutale Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Srivas Adi Gaura Bhattarinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vanchikalpatarubhischa Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanevyo Vaishnavevyo Namo Namaha. Lord Shiva said, my dear beautiful Bhakti, you have seen the greatness. Have you seen the greatness of the Vaishnavas? Being servants of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Hari, they are great souls and are not interested in any kind of material happiness. So it's interesting. Poverty is basically the personification of material happiness, and everybody is looking for her blessings. But for a devotee, he's indifferent whether she blesses him or she curses him. He's situated, fixed, and situated in his position. So this quality of being fixed is described quite well in the devotee is equipoised, and how his mind is conquered and becomes his greatest friend. And when he is situated thus, he is situated in boundless joy. I think there is no greater gain. So reaching that point of becoming fixed in Krishna consciousness is where things start to change. There's a certain point where you step over the line and you're fixed after that. Could be today, or maybe it was yesterday. And then there's no turning back. Once you're fixed, you're fixed. It's funny, isn't it? Because when people say, I need to get something fixed, the minds. When your mind is fixed. If your mind is not fixed, then there's something wrong with it. It's like a broken mind. And when the mind is fixed, then it's in its position, subordinate position, and the intelligence is strong. Srila Prabhupada described the intelligence as the bridge to the soul. That's what we read regularly, because we want the bridge to be strong. And then that bridge helps us to access the soul. And then the soul, when we're reading, this is what happens when you believe on the spiritual platform. One time, the devotee was asking Srila Prabhupada, how do you feel when you chant Srila Prabhupada? And he said, I feel fearless, abhayam. So, and that's also the quality of a sannyasi. Srila Prabhupada refers to the main quality of a sannyasi is he's fearless. So you can drop off in the middle of the forest in the dead of night. He hears the tiger growling, and he thinks, the Lord is in my heart, and he's in the tiger's heart, so I'll rely upon the Lord to protect me. So Lord Shiva is having a little bit of cutting off Parvati. You know, you shouldn't have cursed Chitraketu. And the proof that he was a pure devotee was by how he responded when he was cursed by the material energy. And we were reading this morning, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, those who are favored by Hari will find their path strewn with thorns. So for a devotee, being cursed by material energy is a blessing, and he takes that as a special blessing from the Lord. It's an acquired taste, though. Just like if you go around Govardhan, there's one Mataji at Kusum Sarovar that we've been looking after for years. We just call her Ma. And she was explaining to us that when you go on Govardhan Parikram, that's like a manifestation of how your spiritual life will happen. So sometimes it can start off smooth and it gets difficult in the beginning, or sometimes it's really hellish toward the end. You go through a period where the ground is strewn with pointed stones. And one devotee was saying, this is how you know that so that means we have to revisit how we look at blessings and what the blessings are that we are looking for, so that when the Lord is blessing us, we can appreciate it. Because Maharaj Chitraketu, he was okay with the curse. He didn't think, oh no, I made a mistake, you've made a mistake, everything's going wrong. He was able to immediately appreciate that everything was going to fall into place in due course of time. So the devotee has the ability to see that. So interesting also, Rupa Goswami describes Dristais Prabhava Janatya Bapasasta Dosha Naprakritata Mihi Bhakti Janasya Pajya, that we should see a devotee not according to his body, but according to his service and his consciousness. And Jiva was saying here to his wife, you're very beautiful, but this devotee is more beautiful than you. And he was joking with her because, you know, a lady likes to pride herself on her beauty. She's quite beautiful. So the Shiva is kind of chastising Mother Parvati, saying, you know, you're very beautiful, but the devotee is more beautiful by the way he's behaved. You cursed the king, and he wasn't afraid, and he wasn't sorry. He offered respect to you, and he called you mother and accepted your curse. He did not say anything in retaliation. This is the excellence of a devotee. And then Srila Prabhupada quotes Lord Chaitanya, Tarodapi Sahishna, more talented than a tree, and more humble than a blade of grass. So this is the excellence of a devotee. So we're cultivating Krishna consciousness, and we're also cultivating the qualities of Krishna consciousness. So in the beginning, it may not feel very natural to be humble, and it may feel even artificial to practice this. But it seems unnatural and artificial, or it even seems like this is impossible and making no progress at all. It's like one of the stages when you're learning a musical instrument, it seems, is that it just seems like it's going to be impossible. And then there's a certain point where the muscle memory starts to act independently, and you find yourself playing the instrument almost unconsciously because you've trained yourself to do that. So the general default position of people in the material world is to retaliate and to bark back when they're provoked. So we're trying to get free from that nature, and then eventually our inherent pure humble nature starts to come out, and then we know we're making progress. So he indicated, although she was powerful, the king, without showing any power, had excelled in power by his tolerance. So any questions or comments?
So, just on the point of everyone's looking for the blessings of the material energy.
Yeah.
But the devotees is not. I was reading yesterday, reading Nectar of Instruction, and Prabhupada uses the phrase, if one does not control the senses, he will be victimized by the material energy.
Mm.
I found this word, so victimized, because you see Tritaketu, here we see his relationship with Tritaketu. He's not the victim at all. He's her, he's much more exalted than that, whereas, you know, the non-devotee, they take this as victim, and also like you see in like relationships, people think, well, this person perhaps has abused me in the past, but in the future, you know, now they want to abuse me. But the material energy is like to always constantly the victim.
Yeah, the more one struggles, the more one becomes implicated in the intricacies. So that's the like the insect in the spider's web. The insect moved, and the spider would know what it was, but because it's trying to resist, it becomes more entangled and becomes victimized. So yeah, getting free from material energy is a little bit counterintuitive, actually, because the material energy is provoking you to become more entangled. And if you just go by how you feel, then that's what will happen. So how to control our feelings so that we feel the right way about the right things, you know? How can we make ourselves feel enthusiastic about something? How can we make ourselves feel humble about something? How can we appreciate? How can we train ourselves to do that? That is the challenge. Then it's very easy. It's very easy when you do that, but it's not very easy to do it. So once you've done it, it's fine. But up until then, it's difficult. One devotee said to Satsvarup Maharaj, I'm very discouraged because I see that you are naturally humble and naturally very proud. And Satsvarup Maharaj said, well, I was like this anyway before I became a devotee. I've always been like this. And I'm just using it in Krishna service. He said, so you are the way that you are. So just use it in Krishna service, you know. So if you're a very kind of pushy person, then you can go and do some books and chase people around on Beacon Street. Where that aggression is good. Prabhupada said we should be like a lion on the chase and a lamb in the fold when we come back. So it's seeing what we have and then using it in Krishna's service. And as we're using it in Krishna's service, we're also becoming purified, so that we're naturally able to be humble. Nice point, anyway. That we're not looking for the blessings. Actually, what was amazing was, although he was cursed by the material energy, he had the admiration and worship and respect of the material energy. She was when the Bhagavatam went to see Haridas Thakur to dissuade him from his vows, and then when it became obvious that Haridas Thakur was not attracted, then she surrendered and she said, "Please, everyone else is getting the mercy here, but my job is to keep people in the material energy, a thankless task. Please, can I be a devotee also?" So then he gave her Harinam also, and so she was. There's somewhere in that where the Bhagavati sat down and she just chanted. And she surrendered in Mayapur, not far from where the Jagannath deities are. There's a beautiful picture there of Mother Parvati surrendering to Lord Chaitanya's lotus feet. So if you take shelter of, and Lord Chaitanya is saying, if you want to take shelter of me, then you have to be humble. That's how you'll get my shelter. If you're proud, then you won't get my shelter. So if you're intelligent, then you'll be humble. So if that seems to be so easy, then why do we struggle sometimes with being humble? What causes the problem of being humble? Your false ego. Well, Krishna describes the demonic qualities as Dambo, Darpo, Bhima, and Shah. It's interesting, in the 13th chapter, he says humility and pridelessness, these are the first two qualities of being, of items of knowledge. So completely opposite of knowledge is pride and arrogance. And then Darpo, Bhima, in the 16th chapter, pride, arrogance, conceit, anger, harshness, and ignorance. These qualities belong to those of demoniac nature. So that's like really, it's a real bad quality to have. It's not just non-devotional, it's demoniac. It's like completely the opposite of devotee, to be proud and arrogant. And in Kali Yuga, because the demon and the devotee is born in the same body, so there's a struggle with our lower nature to overcome our lower nature, and not be demoniac. Quite extreme. Eh? The demon and the devotee rolled into the same body, into the same mind. So if your demoniac self could meet your devotee self, that would be an interesting conversation, wouldn't it? Which is that's really what's happening in Japan, isn't it? There's a struggle going on between being lazy and giving into your lower nature, and being determined and asserting to your higher nature. We're kind of fluctuating between the two, trying to always strenuously reach the point where we can become fixed, and then it's no longer an option to behave in a demoniac way. So the Supreme Lord Shiva continued, he is always exalted in his activities, and here's another example of his wonderful influence upon King Chitraketu, his devotee. So she was pointing out that the devotee becomes as great as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and develops his amazing qualities by the mercy of the Lord. So if you're thinking, well, I don't think I can do this, I can be a pure devotee, you can also think, well, maybe I can't be a pure devotee, but Krishna can make me a pure devotee. Krishna Surya Sama Maya Haya Andakara Yahan Krishna Tahan Nahi Maya Adhikara. Krishna is like sunlight and Maya is like darkness. So there's no darkness that's so strong that it can resist sunlight, however dark it is. So the only solution is just to expose ourselves to the sunshine. And by that influence, like consciousness of Krishna, then leads the demonic qualities to develop. And the false ego is we're identifying with it as ourself, and so we want to purify that ego and become disconnected. Just like if you're in a fancy dress, right? And you dress up as Napoleon, and then maybe you had one too many, so you fall unconscious. And when you wake up, someone has super glued the Napoleon outfit to you, and you can't get the hat off, or the moustache, or whatever it is he wears, and funny trousers. So that's the false ego. And then getting free from that is dissolving the false ego. Like if you rub essential oils into super glue, it dissolves the super glue. If you ever, a bit of useless information, if you ever find yourself super glued to something and you happen to have a bottle of lavender oil on you, no problem. So the sound of the Maha mantra dissolves the false ego, and then we're able to shed it. We're able to think, yeah, actually, I'm not Napoleon. I've just been playing that part. I'm just killing everyone, including myself. And then the whole Napoleonic attitude of arrogance and dominance, that also gets dissolved as well. And we can find out who we really are. But the problem actors have sometimes is they play that many parts that they don't know who they are. We had one lady that used to come to the manor, and she was an actor. And then she was going to a counselor because she did that part, she forgot who she was. And she was saying one of the problems with being is if you're in the part with someone and you're playing his wife and he's playing your husband, quite often they get married after the series, you know, because they've been so used to playing it. And then they realize, I don't actually love him and he doesn't actually love me. It was just because we were playing the parts. So you're going to rewrite the script, not how you would normally behave or how you would speak. And sometimes you experience that when you go back to meet your old friends and they've stayed the same as you were, and suddenly you've been around the world, around the universe a few times, you come back to see them, and they are behaving and speaking the way that you were before you took up Krishna consciousness. So it helps you to see that you've made some progress. But wouldn't it be amazing if we could get this out into the educational system, if we could start a program and go around the schools and we could teach the kids that it's good to be humble. And these are the 4 regulative principles. And this is how karma works. If you do this, you get karma in the future for it. Your dog, your kids would have a big impact, I think, upon them. The nature of this type of knowledge is it has an effect. Like Gandaki Prabhu was saying, he had a story and it changed him. After it didn't change my head story a few times, but it changed it anyway. But that's the nature of Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita. This type of knowledge is that a person can hear it and it can change them forever. Can anyone remember a thing they had that changed them forever? The first thing I heard that changed me forever was somebody gave me a Krishna book, and it said Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And I was looking at it and I thought, it sounds like he knows what he's talking about anyway. The Supreme Personality of Godhead. It's like very authoritative. And I was thinking, I guess that means Krishna must be God, and if he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That had a very powerful effect on me. It was probably the first thing that really caught me when somebody gave me a Krishna book when I was 19. And that really struck me. Anybody else? We're all seasoned readers here. Srila Prabhupada's books. Any life-changing?
I was still in college. I was about 14 or 15, and I think I got a copy of, was it Ishopanishad? And I remember I was reading this mantra where it says, everyone has an equal share, and we should respect. Yeah, we should respect that. And it also gave an example of how if we leave a bag of rice, you know, all animals would come and take their own share, but a greedy person would come and take the whole bag.
Yeah.
And I remember I was normally in the school bus, we would just be making noise, you know, we would smoke. But I was reading this book, and my friend told me, "Since when did you start reading?" And I was like, "Well, look, this is very interesting, actually." I showed him this mantra, and then he said, "Lend me the book." Actually, took the book, you know, and I never seen the book again. It's only when I became a devotee and I started reading again, and it brought me back to that time. I was like, "Oh, that was the book."
Yeah. Anybody? Anyone? Any other statements that propel them forward in spiritual life?
I've been reading the Gita for some time. I wasn't getting anything. I liked it. I liked reading it, but I wasn't getting anything from it. And then I was listening to Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj. He was quoting Ye Tamam Prajante Tamsta Deva Bhajamyam. It is all surrender unto me, I reward accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects. I just really remember everything sort of falling into place and clicking, and like realizing, okay, I'm where I am because of the choices I've made. You know, but if we actually surrender to Krishna, then so much everything just makes sense after that. I started to read more verses of the Gita that sort of spoke to me, but before that, everything was like, I read the whole book, and the boys were asking me, like, okay, what did you like it? Any points you liked? I just got nothing from it. That was, I couldn't remember anything. But as soon as I heard that, then everything else sort of opened up.
Yeah, it's good. So that's why book distribution is good, because it forces you to try and understand what it is you're reading and try and convey it in a way which is understandable. I remember when the first Bhagavad Gita, I just used it, handed it to the guy, and he said, "What's it about?" And I didn't actually know what it was about, so I said, "Well, it's like gold." And he goes, "Yeah, but what's it about?" And I just repeated, "It's like gold." And he took the book and gave a donation for it. And I went dashing round to Sankirtan leader. I said, "I've done my first Bhagavad Gita." But then I realized I have to read the book and then assimilate the information in such a way which is understandable for other people to relate to. And sometimes it's like being in a conversation with the book. You can have doubts, and as you're reading, the doubts are being answered even before you've formulated them into questions. It's quite amazing. So yeah, the books are full of all kinds of amazing statements, and also because the books are alive, and they speak to us according to. Sometimes we can read it and it means one thing. Like I really like, if you become conscious of me, you'll pass through all the. But it says, Krishna says, if you act out of false ego, not hearing me. Initially, I took that as meaning, if you act out of false ego and don't do what I'm telling you to do. But then also not hearing me can mean a lot of other things as well. If you act out of false ego, not hearing me, then when you're chanting, if you're not hearing Krishna, then you're hearing your false ego. So you may think you're chanting, but it may not be going in. It may just be going in one ear and not the other ear. But are you actually hearing? Are you actually hearing in the sense that it means, are you becoming conscious of Krishna as you're hearing the holy name? Is the Maha Mantra displaying to you that it is a transcendental sound vibration full of quality, personality, and pastimes? Then you're hearing, and if you're not hearing, then you will be lost. Or at least you'll be pretty spaced out all day. And it's interesting, Krishna saying, if bit of a cliffhanger, isn't it? If you become conscious of me, tune in next week and see if you still do. Okay, any last questions or comments? Yeah.
See, in this purport, Prabhupada's explaining Lord Shiva's using Chitraketu as an example to glorify Lord Krishna. He says, so I understand for the devotees themselves, they should understand that they're simply, anything they're doing is simply by the mercy of the Lord. They're not the doer. But nonetheless, should we see the devotee that we glorify Prabhupada for doing so much? Prabhupada seems himself as a doer, but if we say, oh, Prabhupada, we just glorify Krishna, but that's not right. We glorify the Guru and the actual individual person. So how do you sort of reconcile these two?
Well, we just follow what Srila Prabhupada showed, because Srila Prabhupada, he gave all the credit to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. And then if you approach Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he would give all the credit to Gaura Prabhuji Maharaj. So therefore, everyone is passing it on. Same in the Brihad Bhagavatam, they're trying to find out who the best devotee is. And every time they go to that devotee, says, no, I'm the best devotee. He goes and sees him, and then he says, no, I'm not the best devotee. Everyone's passing it on to somebody else. So in the same way, someone will say, oh, it's amazing what you know, it's my Guru Maharaj, and you approach Guru Maharaj, no, it was Srila Prabhupada, and then you approach Srila Prabhupada, no, it was Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Everyone is passing it on. That's the safe position for the devotee. He doesn't take the credit for himself. As soon as he takes the credit for himself, then the false ego comes in, and then the mercy stops there. The Guru Parampara is a chain of pure souls, all of who are handing the credit on to the next one. And no one takes credit. It's not me, it's texting my devotee. And then he says, I can't repay my pure devotee. In the Pariyaham, they have surrendered to me much more than I can ever surrender to them. Therefore, I can never repay them in a lifetime of Brahma. So then no one gets proud. Even Krishna. If anyone has got a right to be proud, it's Krishna, and even Krishna doesn't get proud. So that's the quality that Krishna dislikes the most, is pride. So that's the one. Dambo dapo vimanascha kroda purusham evacha. We concentrate on those. Because you see, the funny thing is, the nature of a devotee is he doesn't feel that he's not proud. So then Krishna says to Arjuna, he says, it's okay, you don't have these qualities. Because Arjuna is so pure and so humble, he's thinking, that's probably me. He's probably talking about me now, and he's going, no, it's not you. You're my devotee, you're okay, But the Lord has to reassure his devotee, because the devotee doesn't think he's free from pride. So that's the beautiful quality of the pure devotee. Gaur Premanandi Hari Bo.
His Grace Adhoksaja Krishna Prabhu ki